Kia ora no, I'm Rachel. Welcome back to my channel where I talk about well-being and activism. Today I just wanted to make a really short video that is just naming something. I don't have a solution to this, but it's just naming, what I'm calling like ethical or conscientious consumer fatigue. I sort of noticed this recently when I was standing at the fridge looking at this box of, this Tetra Pak box of coconut water, like trying to calculate, is this better to buy for the environment than Powerade in a plastic bottle? Like, anyway, the backstory to that is that sometimes my baby, or she's now like a little almost 3-year-old, but she goes through these periods sometimes where, if she's going through a developmental growth or whatever, where she just feeds all night long. So she just breastfeeds all night long, and I get exhausted and so dehydrated, and I can't barely think or do anything. And I have found that drinking like Powerade or coconut water or whatever really helps. And like, I know that I can make my own electrolyte juice out of like lemon juice and maple syrup and salt and shit, and I have done that sometimes. But when I'm in this kind of state, this like really exhausted, dehydrated state, that feels too hard, and I know that I don't end up doing it. I just go without. But then I was, within all of that state, I was doing that angsting about like, what are my right choices here, kind of thing. Like, how am I fucking up? Like, where I don't really want to be consuming any of these things, but here I am doing it. So which is the best choice? And I was already exhausted, right? But it just hit me in this wave, of just how exhausting it is to spend for me, it's been my entire adult life doing those kind of little calculations every day. And I just wanted to name that. Like, I almost feel like this channel, this activist wellbeing channel, maybe should have the subheading instead, why am I so tired? And I just think it was helpful for me to name that is one of the things that makes me really tired. And I'd be interested to hear if that's something that's helpful for you to name as well. And at that same sort of time, like, I sort of realized that I had these magazines in my toilet that, well-meaning family members had given me, that are kind of like eco, I can't even remember what they're called now, but like eco-y kind of themed magazines that have like, all these different brands that are doing their best to be ethical and sustainable and stuff. And how much I'd been looking at those and feeling kind of pissed off at them because, yes, on one hand, I love to hear that people are making like laptop cases out of banana leaves. That's pretty cool. But on the other hand, I'm just like, there's something gross about it. There's something that I look at it and I'm like, oh, this is just another consumer choice. This is just selling a lifestyle. This is just asking us to consume our way out of this mess that we're in. And I don't really believe that we can consume our way out of this mess. And so it's that funny thing where I we need to smash capitalism. We need to, for sustainability to be real, we need to actually change our systems. And like, my lifestyle living that way doesn't change anything unless the top like 100 businesses change what they're doing too. And we should, but the thing is that, yes, we should probably be putting our energy, instead of beating ourselves up about every little choice we make, we should be putting our energy into fighting against those systems and, challenging those companies and stuff. But then I sort of say to myself, but do I? If I just start drinking Powerade all the time, do I actually then doing something in that area? And there's also that argument too of like, us all needing to sort of be ready to be in right relationship with the earth, and even if maybe me not buying a Powerade bottle is just a lifestyle choice that doesn't ultimately change the systems that fuck up our world, it's still kind of like one less Powerade, like one less plastic bottle in the ocean or whatever, you know. Anyway, like I say, this video is not about coming to this solution. It's just about naming the fucking angst that goes on with this stuff, you know. And it made me realize too that, like, when I was in my early 20s and I first kind of came into this stuff, it seemed exciting and sexy and cool and empowering, you know, to like you know, to like, oh, you know, at the supermarket you can go and get a paper bag from the bakery section for the bread. You can take that over to the bulk bin, where they normally just have plastic bags, and you can fill up your dry beans from there and be using paper instead of plastic. Wow, that's so cool. And you know, fuck, it is cool, but like, my point is that seemed fun and exciting when I was 23, and now that I'm 41 and got a child, it just feels exhausting. And like, sometimes my point is that sometimes we're more or less able to make those kind of choices. And it makes me think too of like people who are in real economic strife and stuff. Yeah, how is everybody supposed to make these lifestyle choices? It can't be the answer, you know. Yeah, but we still often put pressure on ourselves and each other to make all the right choices, eh? And it makes me think too, like, back when I was 21, I remember some of the sort of older union-y sort of guys, that they all seem to be guys. I know that there are women who are interested in Labour politics as well, but anyway, older kind of activists who were focused on union labor rights type of stuff, who were very scathing of the lifestyle activists. And at the time, I just kind of thought, are they just like, not necessarily, I think not necessarily as a conscious thought, but I think my sort of attitude was like, do they just feel like it's elitist because some of these people are cooler, like that are making activism cool? And is it really a problem if they make activism cool, except that you might feel a bit jealous about it? But now I kind of get it. Like, I'm like, yeah, making activism my lifestyle that I try to tick all the boxes of and perform really well doesn't necessarily make the change that we want to see in the world. And it can just make us really tired. Just be another niggly little I'm not enough amongst all of the other forms of that. And how much of it is really about making a change, and how much of it is just, you know, an ego thing that makes me feel good that yes, I am living correctly. I do all the things right, kind of thing. So yeah, like I say, no real solutions there. Just, I found it helpful to name. You might find it helpful. I'd love to hear your thoughts below, whether they are just about responding to, oh yes, that's good to hear that name, or if it's, you know, more kind of interesting, complicated arguments for or against this kind of consumer focused or lifestyle focused way of being in the world. Anyway, that's it for me. Ka kitea no hōra mai.